I know that I'm a bit late on this video, but between an up and down 2021 and a rocky 2022, my enthusiasm for the MCU has dipped. But I eventually found some time and got around to watching Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, hoping that the streak of lackluster MCU movies would end, and unfortunately that didn't happen. That wasn't too surprising though, because as soon as Kang was announced to be the main villain, I thought this movie was doomed to fail. And I don't mean that he was bad, I actually think Kang was the best part of this movie. Actually, one of the main reasons I went to see this movie was because I wanted to see Jonathan Majors again. I thought his performance as He Who Remains, the more eccentric variant of Kang, in the season finale of Loki was phenomenal, and he didn't disappoint. The VFX are being criticized, and maybe rightfully so, but I thought the VFX specifically for Kang were pretty good, and the suit looked way better than I thought it would. I personally think that the movie gets significantly better about the halfway point once Kang is finally introduced. So while the character may be great, the way he was handled wasn't. With the most recent announcement of the future of the MCU, Marvel is setting up Kang to be their next big villain, and he's a fitting candidate. Coming from the far future, he uses advanced technology to be almost invincible. So the decision to have Kang's first appearance in the MCU be in an Ant-Man movie is a strange one. And it puts the writers in a real tough situation. Because on one hand you want to hype him up and make him this big threat, but you also need Ant-Man to win in the end. It would kind of be like if Thanos was a villain in a Captain America movie. While I'm empathetic of the writers for being in this position, they're far from blameless. The first half of this movie before Kang is introduced is pretty boring. I have an idea on how the last half of the movie can be improved, but I honestly have no clue how to improve the first half of the movie without it being totally different. But this video is about Kang, so let's jump to when he's finally introduced into the movie. In case you forgot what's been established so far, Kang was exiled to the Quantum Realm and was found by Janet. They fixed his multiverse engine, hoping that both of them could go home, but because it's Neuralink, Janet saw who Kang really was and decided to sabotage the engine with Pym particles. So when Scott and Cassie are captured and Kang's finally introduced, his decision to force Scott to retrieve the engine makes complete sense, because only someone with Pym particles could go get the engine. And this actually leads to one of the better scenes in the movie. The head-scratching decisions around Kang start once he has the engine back. So how do you get Ant-Man to beat the guy who has beat the Avengers so many times he mixes up the guy who can change sizes with the God of Thunder? Well, you have to make Kang make bad decisions. So when Kang has the engine, the one thing he's wanted since he was sent to the Quantum Realm, instead of leaving as soon as he can, he's going to hop on the radio and broadcast a speech. Next, when Scott turns giant and starts attacking his base, Kang just decides to send out his army, which has largely been ineffective so far, and sit in his tower. And when he finally does join the battle, because of all the buildup they've done up to this point about how scary Kang is, I expected him to do more. But all these things need to happen because the writers need Scott to beat Kang, and realistically that shouldn't happen. So the writers basically have to nerf Kang in order for him to lose and hope you don't pick up on it. And when we look back at Marvel's last big villain, Thanos, this never happened. The very first scene of Infinity War had Thanos crushing Hulk. As much as I didn't like it at the time because, well, I like the Hulk, looking back at it now, I realized this was a brilliant move, because it immediately showed the audience that Thanos wasn't like the other villains we had seen in the MCU up to this point. And for the rest of the movie, he's just this consistent force, capable of beating multiple heroes at once, never making any odd decisions, and using whatever he can against his opponents, including the Infinity Stones. You could argue that he was written this way because he's supposed to win at the end of Infinity War, but even in Endgame, he still has these same characteristics. So when Iron Man tricks him and our heroes finally win, it feels like a hard-earned victory. Comparatively, at the finale of Quantumania, which ends in a fistfight for some reason, when Scott and Hope beat Kang, because he's been hyped up to be this unbeatable dictator, it almost feels too easy, and we don't really get the satisfaction of our heroes beating this great villain. So you might be asking, how would I fix this? Well, I wouldn't have Ant-Man win, I would have him outsmart him. The first part of this movie is all about how big of a threat Kang is, so why don't we keep that consistent and make him almost invincible like he was initially shown to be. Since Scott is an ex-con and a thief who has shown that he can be pretty cunning when he needs to be, I think it would make more sense for him to trick him in the end instead of trying to fight him head on, allowing himself and his family to escape with the multiverse engine, trapping Kang in the Quantum Realm. Then in either the final scene of the movie or an end credit scene, we would see Scott going to the rest of the Avengers warning them about Kang. I think this would be an improvement to what we got, but this direction still has issues. People generally like seeing the good guy win, so it's very possible that people wouldn't find this ending satisfying. Since our hero wouldn't really beat the villain, he would more escape from him. Also, it's very clear that Marvel has a plan for the future of the MCU, and by going this route, the next time that Kang is in a movie, the writers of that movie would have to explain how Kang got out of the quantum realm, kinda just pushing the problem off onto them. But this is what happens when you put your writers in a difficult situation like this. They just have to go in whatever direction they believe has the least amount of problems. There's no real universal good solution. And unfortunately, I think that's why this movie was doomed from the start. But I want to hear from you. Am I completely wrong and this movie is awesome? Have you thought of a better direction to go with the story? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. It would really help me out. Finally, thanks for watching.